Survivor specialist Phil and Will are back, and that might have been the greatest blindside of all time. And I'm not exaggerating. I don't know, Will, how you feel, but that was probably one of the greatest blindsides of all time, probably capping what I think is either the best or the second best pre-merge. This might have put it over the top.
I'd say this is second best pre-merge. I'll have to rewatch Heroes or Villains. But yeah, man, this was so awesome. Not only was it an amazing blindside, the moment, just the her getting voted out, that was great. It was a pre-merge boot, but that stare at Jay and Jay just looking right at her and keeping a straight face. I don't know how he did that. I would probably turn away or start crying or laughing or some type of emotion. He's like, yeah, I did it, and just looked right at her. I mean, that's a top 10 moment of all time Survivor for me, at least. And maybe I'm judging this too quickly, but I loved that moment, that stare. She had to come back and get her shoes, which made it even better. She does not hit the prop bet for saying nothing and going straight to Jeff. She was
no, definitely not.
She was floored. She had has anyone ever waited that long? I mean,
I don't think so.
I guess that's the stare was in between the fourth vote. Jeff didn't know what to do. Jeff was like, "Oh my god!" And then eventually he's like, all right, I'm going to read this vote. Amazing, amazing ending to that episode. Fun episode all around. This season keeps delivering. Shout out, obviously, to the Cubs for just winning the World Series. Incredible baseball game. I mean, it is. I mean, I'm a baseball fan. Even if you don't like baseball, even if you don't like sports, that was a insane game. Just had everything. It had a rain delay, comebacks, home runs, errors, extra innings. It was a ridiculous night to be a baseball fan and a Survivor fan. My roommate is a huge Cubs fan. He'll probably stumble in drunk at some point. I'm going to give him a hug. So when he does come in, I have to at least greet him, even though we are live here.
Yeah, I feel you, dude. And that was seriously unbelievable. Good for the Cubs. My boss is going to be happy. He's 83 years old, never seen a Cubs World Series win. So you can imagine what's going through his head right now.
Well, he's a Cubs fan too. You should probably,
die hard. Was at the last World Series that they were in. Was at it. Come on, that's insane. But yeah, this episode, this whole moment, man, she was so intense, and I love that Jay just stared her down and was like, "Yeah, I did it. I did it. It was me." That was such a baller.
I don't know how he did it. She was livid. I thought she might attack him. I thought she literally might turn around and just smack him in the face. She was livid. She could not believe it. And we'll talk about this, why this happened, whether it was a good move. I mean, I'm just filled with excitement about everything right now. I guess the first question is, good move for Jay and Will? Bad move for Jay and Will?
I think it's a good one because I think even though Michaela is probably loyal to them, I think Michaela is such a threat in terms of she wants to win, she's very competitive, and also she's got a big mouth. And she saw them find the idol. I think this is a huge move, and that's something that really wasn't addressed this episode is she watched them find the idol. They didn't mention that as a reason to boot her.
Yeah,
I think that's a great reason.
It came up for a second. I was going to ask you this.
It was very brief.
Yeah, I think that was the main reason, but they did not want to send Michaela, who really has become a fan favorite, just a completely entertaining character, and not in a negative way, as some people might have thought, after episode 2. But she was really positive, really fun, and Will even said positive energy around camp. And I don't think Survivor wanted to send her home simply because she saw them with an idol. And I really do. I think that was the reason that pushed it over. I would love to hear what Jay and Will have to say after the game, if it really was just because she was a threat. But it's very early to start taking out threats, even if they are completely loyal to you. I think it had a lot to do with Michaela is a blabbermouth. She's the only one that knows that we have the idol. That's it. So you get Michaela out, and your idol is kept secret. I honestly think for that reason alone, it's a great move.
Yeah, and I really think that was a really, really I think you're right. I think that is 100% the main reason. And I think with Michaela, she's tricky because she also sits there and says, "Oh, well, I want the Millennials tight. I want the Millennials tight. I want the Millennials tight." And then she's happy Figgy goes home. And she announces to everybody that she's happy Figgy goes home. So, Michaela's dangerous, and she's loud, and she's not the most loyal person out there. She's saying she's loyal and all that, but, she only had to go to one tribal council before this. It's very hard for her to prove that she's loyal. And like Will and Jay kept saying, she's very smart, and that scares the hell out of them.
Yeah, like even if let's say it's a final four of, Will, Jay, Hannah, Michaela. If you're Will, you're going to sit at the final four either next to Jay or next to Michaela. I don't know if that's your best bet to win $1 million. And not saying Will really has a shot at this point, but he doesn't know how he's being edited and what we're seeing. So if I'm Will, I'm saying, yeah, let's get her out now before we're in this final four. I know the counter argument. It's like, why would you get her out this early? And you're just showing that you're, playing hard and that you're sneaky. But at this point in the game, the other two tribal councils that went down, it was, highlighted tonight. The majority voted someone off of, of their own. So if that's been going on 2 tribal councils in a row, you're not worried about people saying, oh, you're playing too hard. Everybody is playing hard. You're not going to have like, oh, Jay voted out Michaela. Jay and Will did this. Well, you know what? Adam and Taylor aren't the best of friends anymore, We had David and Chris vote out Cece. Like, everyone's kind of mingling at this point. We're merging from 3 tribes, which has never happened before. I don't think this is going to, like, set Will and Jay on some hit list.
No, it's not. And I don't really think – Michaela and Figgy were kind of in similar situations where you don't really – they're not really in an alliance with anybody. Nobody's going to be like, oh, man, I got to get vengeance from Michaela. Like, that's not really where anybody's head is at.
Well, Hannah's head might be there.
Hannah's also another one who's in a really weird position. Like, who is on Hannah's side? Clearly nobody in, like, either vote.
Yeah, I'm just saying from the preview, she was like, Jay turned one on me. Just, it's not only voting against get revenge for Michaela. It's that, like, Hannah feels betrayed by, Will and Jay. So she is going to go for revenge. But go on. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I was just saying, like, I just feel like Michaela's she's not like the biggest tight. Like, it's not like everybody's like real tight with Michaela and like, oh my God, how could they get rid of somebody like Michaela? We love Michaela so much. She's just kind of like Michaela. Like, okay, like, yeah, we needed her as a number. She's very intense. She can win. Talked about right now is the fact that they really set this up as a Brett boot. It was so obvious this was going to be a Brett boot. They're talking about it's Brett. Brett's got no screen time, like pretty much all season. He's getting a bunch this episode. Him and Sunday are pretty much giving up. It really seems like they're just throwing this Michaela thing in as like okay, this is such an obvious Brett boot. It's such a boring one. He's not somebody who's got like a good storyline going into the merge. Michaela's got a great storyline going forward. And boom, there she goes. Honestly, I thought this was a boring episode. And I was like half-heartedly paying attention at Tribal Council. And then that happened. I saw the first Michaela vote, and I was like, there's no way. And I want to watch the episode again knowing the outcome, and I think I'm going to love it. Because it actually was a pretty well-edited episode in terms of you got to hear from everybody except Ken, which is pretty unbelievable since Ken had a confessional in every episode until this one. But, man, that came out of nowhere. Finally ones the fans are actually blindsided on.
Yeah, I did not. I mean, I thought there was a chance. I definitely wasn't tuning out. I was like, okay, maybe this can happen. Maybe this can happen. They're tossing it in right at the end. But, yeah, this is also – we saw a good probably 10 minutes of this episode at EW Pop Fest also. So there wasn't a lot of new stuff going on. And then if it was just a predictable Brett boot, we definitely wouldn't have enjoyed it as much, So a lot to talk about here. I also want to mention just the storytelling that led to Michaela's demise. She kept saying this phrase, it doesn't matter who we get out. It kept saying we just have to play the numbers. And that's just such a wrong way to look at Survivor. And when it started getting into that, like when she was doing the shell and the rock, like
didn't even make sense.
We weren't supposed to have it. I mean, yeah, exactly. It didn't make sense to us, the viewer, which is why I was like, maybe she does go home here. She's playing so hard. She's playing with these rocks and shells, and it's just numbers and pieces. And it's like, it does matter who you vote out. Like even Hannah said, so who should we take out? Immediately, Michaela has a confessional saying, it doesn't matter. We know this isn't the case, right, in Survivor. Like every player is a person, a human being who is acting in their own best interest with different personality traits. So that right there was just a little off to me and said maybe she really could go home because she's not playing this thing the right way. For Jay and Will, though, I don't know. We'll have to see. It's hard to grade this one, especially – heading right into a merge with 13 people, it's going to be really impossible to grade this one in the future.
This is going to be crazy.
Yeah, unless somehow Jay or Will is the merge boot because of this move, which I don't see happening, then we can say it was a bad move. But overall, if you can keep that idol secret, I'm all for it.
This is just crazy because this pretty much tells anybody who follows Edgic, like, go home, take a bath, and don't look again, because, like, this was ridiculous. Michaela was like,
why is that?
Michaela was a favorite to win.
See, okay.
No. I don't want to hear your ridiculous will argument. She was a favorite to win based on every single Edgic report. Every single one had her as a favorite to win this game, and she just went home tonight. No one saw this.
How many favorites are there?
I think it was her, Jay, and Adam. That's it.
Okay, that's fine. So there's Jay and Adam. I don't think you have to put Edgic completely to sleep just because one person has a chance.
Dude, this is one of the most anti-Edgic like boots we've had in like an insanely long time. Like insanely. Like this is like one of the most against the edit boots we've had in Survivor in.
Well, against the edit per episode, like how they edit an episode, is not the same thing as Edgic. Edgic is used to determine the winner, solely the winner, and predict the winner.
Yeah, I'm still saying she was still a favorite for that.
When you're saying Brett's getting a lot of confessionals and he hasn't got a lot of screen time before, that's not necessarily Edgic. That's just throughout the episode. So I don't want you to lumping those together. I'm not really saying you are, but they are two very, very different things.
Yeah, and I understand that. I'm not lumping them together. I'm just saying, like, this is one of the – she was a favorite in Edgic, and this was one of the most anti-edit boots we've had in such a long time. Like, such a long time.
Yeah, which is great. I'm all for it. I guess want to take this from the top, or do you have anything more to say about this boot? I'm sure stuff will come up. People will have questions. But, man, that stare down, that moment at the end is still, I think, top 10 for me. Like a top 10 Survivor moment. Might be top 5. I had to watch it twice.
Better than screaming, "This is my island."
I don't know. That's really close. I still don't even remember.
Well, I do want to bring this up before we get into the rest of the episode. This week at PopFest, one of the fans asked Jeff Probst, "What's your favorite blind side?" I think Jeff like had this one in his mind when he was answering that question because he was like, "Oh, there's so many. I don't really know." I think Jeff had this one in his mind. Because then he went on to ask the audience, what does everybody think of Michaela? And everybody was like, yeah, like. But I think he had this one in his mind as like, I kind of want to say the Michaela blind side. Because he loves that moment.
Oh, yeah. I know he loves it. And he was a big fan of Michaela as a player. Yeah, there's a couple things looking back now that knowing Michaela was the boot. All right, it's pretty funny. Okay, let's take this from the top if we can curb our excitement about the tribal council. So we have Adam and Taylor. This I thought was kind of funny because Adam kept saying, "I'm wrong. I screwed your game. Like it's my fault. Like all this stuff," but then offered no explanation. And I'm sure Adam did say this is why he did it, but we weren't seeing that on the screen. So it was just repetitive Adam saying all this. Like maybe they're trying to show his honesty and that he's not like keeping his cards to himself, but he's like owning up to his moves. And that kind of fits with the theme of just saying, hey, I'm going to blindside you. People vote how they vote, and that's part of the game now. That's possible that they were playing that up, but I expect Adam as a player in this game was trying to provide some reasoning to the move.
Yeah, he definitely was, and I'm sure they just cut some of it out. This was kind of a good episode for Taylor. It made it seem like Jess and Ken were kind of like, hey, Taylor, come be our buddy. I don't think this is going to mean much going forward. I just think like they had to put some new storyline forward for Taylor now that Figgy was gone, because this whole storyline was Figgy. I do not think, and I could be wrong, maybe they can pull one over on Adam, but I don't think Taylor, Jess, and Ken are going to be the reason Adam goes home. Just because now there's 13 people going into this merge, it's a lot. That's a lot to sit there and be like, well, Adam's not going to see this coming. Like, I'm pretty sure Adam will be able to sniff it out because there's going to be a lot of people who aren't letting you in on the loop. And, like, that would be like maybe I should play my idol tonight.
Yeah, and all that probing seemed to come from Jessica, and I think she was doing that on purpose to get a read on Taylor and get any information on Adam if there is any to be found. But Ken, I don't think was buying it. I think Ken was, because Ken seemed to love Adam in those other episodes, so I think it was a kind of a good play by Taylor. I mean, I think that's the most strategic thing we've seen him do, all season long. He's trying to say, hey, look, guys, Adam straight up lied to me,
Yeah, no, I think you're right, but I don't think they're buying. Like, there's no way you can believe Taylor in that situation when Adam has openly said, I voted for Figgy at the first tribal council. And Taylor's sitting there going, well, Adam said he'd never write our name down ever. He already told everybody he wrote Figgy's name down. It's like you can't use that argument.
Right. It's so funny. But I do like seeing Taylor make that effort. It's good to see the Taylor without Figgy, coming out of his shell. Okay, let's see. We got anything before this challenge? There's so much going on.
I thought it was interesting. We didn't actually go to Ikabula before the reward. We then went over to Vanua, and we got like a little bit. We got finally the David telling Zeke about the idol.
Yeah, which we talked about in the predictions. I just don't think it's a good move. Where did this Zeke David love come from? I don't know where that came from, because it was Chris and David kind of being back and forth, and then Zeke falling in love with Chris. We never really saw David and Zeke hit it off, but I guess we know now that they have. So I guess we have that. I don't know if we need to touch on it anymore.
I just don't know where it came from, and I wish they would have shown a little bit more of it. And, like, here's Chris, who, like, all of a sudden it just seems like Zeke's like, I'm done with Chris. And, like, we got a little bit into it, but, like, you feel like this is another one. Like, if this was going to be something going forward, you almost wish you would have heard about Zeke and David being closer a little bit sooner. Maybe they honestly weren't any closer sooner, but, like, we're cut from the same cloth and this, that, and the other thing. You almost feel like, come on. Like, there had to have been some scene you could have shown us. Even like Tyson and Jervis had things before the Coconut Bandits that were just, like, little bro moments. Like, you almost think you would get those.
Right. I think this is probably just a case of this 4-person tribe not going to tribal again after the first time they went. So it's like, okay, we'll show a little bit here and there. This tribe likes each other, and it's pretty cool. All of this tribe likes each other. Phil, are you going to listen, or are you just going to...
I'm listening to you.
Okay.
This whole tribe likes each other. I'm listening.
Oh, he's got his head right down. I don't know what his head's doing.
I'm looking at a notebook. I don't have anywhere to put the notebook.
Oh, you took notes?
I took notes. I'm on a chair right now. I don't know if anybody can see this. This is my home. That's it. So, can anybody see that? I'm like literally on a chair that I can't fit a notebook on. So the notebook is in between my knees.
Okay. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, this tribe really likes each other, and it seems that all we've seen now these 3 tribes go to tribal council. They all really like each other. And I think at this point, it's like, okay, if David's going to share that information with Zeke, we need to know that as a viewer. And they weren't going to spend the relationship might not mean anything else other than that. Like, all right, Zeke knows about David's idol. That's all you need to know. We saw Michaela find Jay and Will when they found their idol. That turned out to be extremely important, a scene that we really needed to see. So I don't know. I think they're just keeping the audience up to speed on that. The reward challenge. This was a pretty cool challenge. We got to see most of this at Pop Fest, so it was cool. Anything on the reward challenge?
Yeah, the only thing I was surprised at, we pretty much saw at Pop Fest up to where like Chris throws his last ball and they like cut it off as if we didn't expect Chris to win. I was really surprised Green came back though. Because like even at Pop Fest, I was like, okay, we know both teams that win. Like we're walking out of here pretty much knowing what 2 tribes win reward.
So I actually knew they didn't win. Like I knew they would lose. I knew Green would win because they put a video on YouTube and it showed the immunity challenge, like the first minute of the immunity challenge, and Jeff was saying Green has not lost a challenge yet as a tribe. So
yeah, I didn't watch that.
It's like they spoiled pretty much. They spoiled the reward challenge. Anyway.
I thought it was cool though. I love the aftermath.
Yes. Oh my god! Because
I'm so happy Michelle made it out of this and is like in the merge because she totally deserved it to make it this far. That scene was so funny.
It was so good, and it's like I'm sure this similar scene has happened. Like I don't know, probably every time they have a huge reward, and they've never shown it. This was just burps and farts and hiccups and like for about like 30 seconds to a minute long. And Michelle's sitting there. There's nothing else she can do. I don't know. It was kind of it was kind of funny though how she tied it back into the game. Like I'm on the chopping block because I'm not farting along with them because I didn't eat like an animal. And
I thought it was great that like Chris and I think it was like Zeke, they all called out like, hey, like it's like, oh, we know we're doing this wrong. Like we know we're being kind of offensive and abrasive right now, but whatever. And
but
like
it's
poor
day
Michelle,
20, you haven't
being a human. Yeah. Was it Zeke's line about like there's a chubby kid inside of me so I can binge, baby? Like that was so funny. It was great. Yeah, I thought there was a really fun scene, and I like this for an episode that had such a great blindside. And for an episode that had 2 challenges and 3 tribes, I really want to watch this again because other than me assuming the entire episode was going to be a predictable boot, they did such a good job of editing this and giving us like real camp life stories. We got to watch that Green Tribes scene where they were laying around and they thought, and Hannah was like, Brett's a cop. We got to watch that.
Which was such a funny scene.
Everybody at the Pop Fest was dying laughing. It's so good. Like everything about that, every character tonight delivered. Like every character delivered tonight. And it was like, finally, like here we go. Like the merge is coming. Let's see a little bit from everybody finally.
Yeah, I mean, we have Taylor starting to, play some sort of strategic game. We have Adam maybe is now threatened, which is exciting because he's kind of like an underdog fan favorite. Yeah, and then we have a whole scene of farting, and then we have the beautiful cop scene with Jay agreeing, and then them just pretty much solving Brett and just putting him on the spot. It was awesome. We have that worldly advice from Will. Don't force him to say it. He'll come out when he's ready. I love that from the 18-year-old. I was cracking up at Pop Fest when I heard that line.
And I do want to address this. I actually worked for one summer in high school. I actually worked at a funeral home. My parents' best friends when I was growing up owned a funeral home. And I will tell you what, everything Brett said is 100% accurate. There's no fancy way to describe. You do like paperwork and stuff. You sit them down. You talk about caskets. And like, that's literally what it is. Not only that, they were like two of the craziest, funniest people I've ever met in my life. And they own a funeral home. And like, for them to be like, well, Brett's like a little too like funny and like positive. Like, I think like funeral directors, and like I know a few of them because of those two, because they hang out together for some reason. So they're very morbid and have sick sense of humor. But like they are very like almost like nonchalant about it, and I think that kind of like adds to their sick sense of humor and does make them like pretty funny people. So really, guys, if you hear somebody's like a funeral director and they are coming across kind of positive, unless they're screaming Boston Police Sergeant, they could be a funeral director.
I think you would need to have some bubbliness and some positivity in you to be a funeral director. Like you don't want to be like, okay, sign here. Yeah, whatever. We'll deal with that later. Get your shit out of here. Like, be like you don't want to be a dead person. You want to be, I'm really sorry. You can be cordial and charming.
Okay, you don't want to be a dead person. Well done.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be lively. Well, I mean, I had no idea you worked at a funeral. That's crazy. I'll have to ask you more about that, and maybe some questions or comments will come from that later. That's pretty wild. That's a crazy one, Phil. Okay. Let's move to the immunity challenge, unless we have anything pre-immunity challenge.
No, immunity challenge is fine.
Yeah, I mean, it came down to the slingshots, and it's so funny how Michaela would blame this one on Jeff. Like, we didn't choose slingshots, and everything that goes wrong is just Jeff's fault. And I liked how he actually was saying, hey, why is everything my fault? Yeah, pretty standard challenge. Chris was just a sniper with those things. I mean, and even Ken on that last shot, it was pretty cool to watch. Fun stuff.
Yeah, I thought that this also, though, this like points out so much about Michaela and probably why she went home. She's so competitive, man. Like, no, I'm going to do it. Even when she's failing, I'm like, that's not a problem. Like, good for you. Like, you're trying to win it, whatever. But, like, man, like, I was like, oh, God, Michaela, like, you got to calm down just a little bit because, like, let somebody else do it. And she did start letting everybody else do it, but none of them could get the hang of it. It did not matter who was shooting the slingshot. None of them were going to get the hang of it. I mean, tonight, Vanua made so many comebacks in both the reward and the immunity challenge. They were down by a lot in both. So good for them.
Yeah, Michaela was just super, super competitive, like yelling at Brett, like, if you're going to do it, do it. Don't just stand, like, she's just turned up 100% the entire time. And she had that line after the reward challenge saying, I don't want to do everything. I'll be too much of a threat. I don't want to come off that way as an athletic person, but she came off that way as a strategic person immediately after they lose that challenge. I don't know if you have anything else on the challenge. We can jump right after.
No, I think we jumped to after, which we kind of talked about a lot of.
I don't know. That log scene was pretty cool.
It was great.
It was very cool, and I hope Sunday is not exaggerating about a half hour, because if that's a half hour of 6 people sitting on a log just not saying a word, that shows you how this game really gets to people. And this was the most divided tribe, I think, out of the 3, where it was like 4 against 2. That kept being said, 4 against 2, all of this. And even Sunday said it, like, yeah, they've been doing a good job being nice, but we know how it is. Even this tribe that was most divided they loved each other. They loved each other. And it's pretty unique to see like 3 tribe shakeup, and all tribes are really happy with each other. I don't think we've seen anything like that before.
It's a very positive cast, and I keep going back to Ko Rong. Ko Rong had a lot of bad blood in it, and this season doesn't. There's like nobody on this cast who's like genuinely disliked by other people. Like Sarge and Scott like were disliked by people last season. Like Alicia there hasn't been that feud, but yet we're still getting great entertainment the entire time. You don't necessarily need characters that are just so abrasive. And I like Kyle and
Scott.
I like them both. I'm just thinking like you don't necessarily need that because this makes it even more dramatic when you see somebody like Michaela, who everybody likes, who's a huge fan favorite. She gets booted pre-merge, and I'm sitting there now and I go, okay, we got Hannah, we got Sunday, we got Michelle, and we got Jessica. They could be 4 of like the last 5 people left in this game. Like realistically right now. They're the 4 last remaining women. There's 4 women left in the game, and Michaela is not one of them. And I'm really blown away by that because she didn't go as a merge threat. She went because Jay said, I think a merge is coming, and she knows I have an idol. Bye, Michaela. Like, that's crazy.
No, it is. It's insane. It shows you just how little things can get you. And I'm starting to think that is the major reason why. I mean, Jay had this whole confessional, like, oh, he had an epiphany when, Michaela was playing with rocks and shells. I really think it was sitting there like, like it would be such a good opportunity. It's like 2 birds with 1 stone. Man, what an episode. And I agree with you. We don't need people bullying each other and fighting for entertainment. We can have people farting and burping, and it's just as funny if we get a good blindside at the end.
Yeah, and what oh god, I just lost my train of thought. With this blindside, did hashtag blindside pop up? Because like I said, I didn't watch it live.
No, it was hashtag what? Because she said it was like
wait, she said what?
She said what? On the 3rd vote, she lost it. She said what? And then that was the hashtag. I don't know if there's a hashtag blindside after that what, because Jeff had to read that 4th vote to seal the deal.
Which was written by Jay.
There you go. If you're keeping score of the prop bet home, continue to do so because this was, I did not have time to score the prop bet. It was like Survivor was over, then the World Series was on. It was just a lot going on. We will get those prop bet scores updated and the boot list too.
Just so everybody knows, we did have our first person to sit out 3 episodes, and that would be our 3 challenges, and that would be Hannah. She did sit out. Michaela also had a confessional in every episode she was in. So,
all right, if you hit those bets, good on you. I feel bad. There's probably a lot of people that are new subscribers that didn't get to make a prop bet. Got to make one for next season. Okay, let's jump to comments here. I'm sure there'll be questions about this was a bad move, this was a good move, and we'll get into all that. Let's start.
Yeah, do you want to throw up MVP, LVP first before we go?
Oh, sure. I'm going to say MVP Jay, just because I do agree with the move, and I think the consensus is actually that everyone's disagreeing with it. But I think they're thinking of, man, I don't get to see Michaela on TV anymore. I love Michaela. She was fun. I don't like Jay because they voted out my favorite character, which isn't why you should vote on MVP. I think this move was good for Jay. Again, he's not going to take any flack for turning on millennials when Adam just did that. When we have millennials and Gen Xers getting along perfectly at the Orange camp, hey, he's got Will loyal to him. Brett and Sunday he can work with. They voted together. I mean, there's a lot of going around. 3 tribes merging into 1. Never happened before. This vote is not going to like seal his fate as like a schemer.
And I'll be honest, I think that we're going to hit this merge, and it's going to be a really great merge because there are no alliances right now. There are no real alliances. Like it seems like Brett, Sunday, and Chris could get back together, but it seems like Chris is close with Zeke, who's now close with David, and Chris and David were never really close. Now they're kind of close, but like nobody was ever like, oh, David, you're our buddy. And Jess and Ken, are they going to be able to go back to David, who's now made so many alliances? Where does Adam stand in all of this? What does Taylor do? Does he go back to Jay now that Figgy is gone? Will and Hannah, like there's so many. My mind's gonna explode trying to do the predictions this week.
Your hair's turning red.
It's unbelievable, right? I don't know why that happens sometimes. This is gonna be a really, really, really fun merge episode. I cannot wait. I am so excited.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we did some off-season podcast. We did like a twist list, and I think we had number 1 twist as a tribe swap. I don't know what we had at number 2, but it has to be a 3-tribe start or a 3-tribe dissolve. I mean, 3 tribes I think, has done so much for the show, and I'm so glad they brought it back recently. I mean, we saw it in All-Stars, and we didn't see it until season 25. Now we've had it in 25, 28,
30,
32,
yeah.
33, and 31 with Second Chance. So, I mean, it's just kudos to Three Tribes. I just want to tip my cap because it really has made Modern Survivor so much fun. Yep. Let's get to comments.
All right. Giovanni Rihanna, is Zeke the modern-day Rob Cesternino? Both are big fans, can get along with anyone, and aren't huge physical threats. Got to see strategy from Zeke before we make that jump, I believe.
Yeah, he's been to 2 tribals. One, he got blindsided. Mm-hmm. Second one, I mean, he was like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. I have to. He had no choice.
Yeah, Rob owned every vote in Amazon until the last one. Real quick, got to read this from Steel Punch. He says, please read. It's a little Survivor fun fact, so we'll just throw it out there. Did you know Keith Nail, only person to be in 2 finales but not in the final 3? Did my research on this. Interesting point there.
All right, love it. I love cool Survivor stats. Keep bringing those. I don't need any comparisons between, Michaela and the boots in the same order. I don't need that, okay? It's meaningless. It's arbitrary.
Yeah. Giovanni, was Michaela trying to not look like a big threat and purposely miss those shots? I don't think so. I don't think Michaela knows how to lose.
Yeah, no way. She wanted to win. And then after they lose, you want to be at tribal council. It's the best place to go. It's the best place to go.
Yeah, that's what she said. That was insane. The person who wins goes to the most tribals. I'm like, one time. They go to the most tribals because they make it all the way to the end. Let's see here. Giovanni, do you think that Michaela is a better version of Crystal? Michaela's stronger, can actually be in the Olympics. Michaela was great. I hope to see more of Michaela in the future.
I don't think Crystal and Michaela are that comparable.
They're not similar at all. Giovanni, is Jay a big Lex fan? My gut says yes. I don't know, man. I don't know if Jay would whine as much as Lex did when he got voted out, but
I think if Jay gets voted out, he's like, you got me,
Yeah.
That stare. I mean, he should win MVP just for keeping that face. Like, yeah, I did it, and just staring at her for 20 seconds. Unbelievable stare down. Gotta give Jay credit there.
Yeah. Giovanni, to answer your next question, I'm not going to read it on here. Don't look at the question if anybody doesn't want, but my answer is they won't. Steel Punch, best pre-merge tribal ever, better than Tyson and Heroes versus Villains. I honestly think this is probably one of the 2 or 3 best blindsides of all time. And I want to go back and rewatch it knowing what happens, and I think that this could possibly be the best pre-merge tribal council of all time.
It's up there, and it's not even just the tribal councils, because we've had some really great tribal councils that have been this is pretty basic run-of-the-mill tribal council up to the vote. It was like the best vote reading, the best vote reaction I've ever seen. I've never seen someone react to a vote in a more entertaining way than Michaela did tonight. I can say that with 100% certainty.
Finally knocked off Greg Buis, I think. I think it finally knocked off Greg in season 1 when he fake cried on his way out. So ridiculous. I think Michaela finally topped it in the complete opposite way.
There you go.
Yeah.
Took 33 seasons.
Yeah. Steel Punch, I don't think he's MVP worthy, but Will Wall showed tonight that he's smarter than you think. He just wants to be he just wasn't part of the story. I think that's completely accurate.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not questioning his intelligence. I am questioning his, ability to make a deep run and win the game.
Yeah. I just don't think he can win. I mean, he could still make a deep run. I just don't think he could win.
Right.
He could sit there at the end of the game and just not have really ever been a part of the votes.
Right. I mean, this was a pretty big move. It was Jay's idea. Jay's going to get credit for this move, even though Will is the one who quickly mentioned she's the only one that knows you have an idol, and I really think that is what pushed it over. Yeah,
and it's always weird. Like, even when Jay found the idol, we didn't get a confessional from Will, and tonight, like, he says that little thing, but we didn't get a lot from Will after that. I thought we'd get more. Like we did get a confessional, thank God. But like, you think you'd get a little bit more from him,
especially because he's 18 years old on an age-based season. You think just for that reason alone, he would get more. And he is well spoken. He is smart. I agree with who has commented that. Yeah, he seems like a really smart guy, especially for being only 18 years old. So I'd like to see more of Will. I'm glad he made the merge. I don't want him to do too well though, because then he's, when I go on Survivor, then I'll be compared to him, and I'll probably won't do as well. So I want to be the best Will.
Yeah. You probably will be anyway, just because most people don't really know much about Will. Steel Punch MVP Jay for making this move. LVP Hannah being blindsided by the vote and her tribe mates. I could see the case for Hannah being the LVP again. She really is on the wrong side of every vote. Although she did call out Brett and really make a big deal out of it, it just didn't work.
Yeah, it was. I thought her strategy was very sound. She was like, even if Brett isn't a cop, I can, make us four feel really united against these two Gen Xers, even though the Gen Xers are pretty cool. So it was good thinking, but yeah, it did not pan
out. Jimmy O'Connor, where do you rank this Survivor exit with the all-time grades? I got to say top 5 at least. This is unbelievable.
I think it's number 1. Honestly, it depends what we're grading. If we're grading like the entire tribal council, then it's not anywhere close, I don't think. But if we're talking about pure exits, it's number 1. If we're talking about pure vote, like the fact that Michaela got blindsided, then it's probably up there too. Probably like the top 5.
Yeah, I don't think overall the whole tribal council, though, like it's not on par with like, let's say like the Cagayan merge. Like that was unreal. Like the Philippines when Jeff Kent went home, that was unreal. I don't know if this is on that level overall as a tribal, but that exit, yeah, I agree, could be number 1.
Agreed.
Gamer Girl, I think that's the first time a reading of the votes has ever been interrupted midway through. It might be.
Yeah, I believe that. It's so Jeff didn't know what to do. He was about to read, and then he looked up and was like, "Are you still staring at Jay?"
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna let. And I love Jay. He let it play out for a little bit, and then just read the final vote while Michaela's head was still turned around. Mad props to Jeff on that. Like, that was so great.
That was great. I love the way they edited that. The camera was still on Michaela, turned around looking at Jay, and you just hear 7th person voted out. And then it goes to Jeff. I was like,
that's never happened before. I mean, this is the number one exit ever.
Loved it. Giovanni, who was more pissed, Sandy from Tocantins or Michaela? Michaela.
Is Michaela the most pissed person
of all time?
To get voted out. I think this was it. I think this is the most angry someone's been when they get voted. Like Judd was pretty angry, I remember.
I hope you all get eaten by a crocodile.
Yeah, scumbags. Yeah. But Judd was like, God darn. Michaela's like gonna.
Oh, Michaela was ready to fight. And that's what I love about Michaela. Like, that's why I wish she would have hit the merge. I really do. Probably would have rather have lost Brett tonight, because although this was a great episode, it might hurt the show long run of the season. But this is like why like somebody like Michaela needs to be on season after season, because she's not a bad person. She's just very vocal and very straightforward. And when she got booted tonight, she was like, how can I kill Jay and get away with it? I think that was the first thing that went through her mind. And the answer was, you can't. You have to go home.
Yeah. I mean, she was. I wonder what would have happened. I mean, we've never had something like that even come close to happen. It's crazy.
Yes. Giovanni, MVP Zeke, LVP Jay or Will? I don't know. I mean, I can see that being an argument, but I don't think this was a bad move for them.
It's hard to give them LVP when, I mean, they were in the majority and they achieved the mission they set out to do. They have their reasons. We don't know how it plays out yet. It's hard to give them LVP, and I know you could say it's hard to give them MVP, but at least they're in control of their own game. You know, they're not letting things just, oh, Michaela wants to go to the Final Four. That probably had a lot to do with it too. Just like, okay, Will, Hannah, Jay, Michaela, that's Final Four. Jay's sitting there like, hey, you know, I'm really good buddies with Taylor. I'm really good buddies with Michelle. If you agree to this, and she's like honestly forcing you to agree to this, being a bit bossy, and then at a later time you hook up with Taylor and Michelle and do something different, she's going to say, oh, you're a flipper. She's going to throw you on the bus, call you a liar, all these things. So just getting Michaela kind of out of your way when you have a free vote, the merge is coming soon. You know, it's really, really not a bad move. And I know people are Michaela fans, but please consider Jay's position in the game when you vote for MVP. Jay's on my team, right?
No, Jay's on my team.
Wow. Crap.
You had Michaela, though.
I've been campaigning. Wow, I would have thought that had been reversed.
So did I. I'm shocked that it actually was the opposite.
What's the score in the fantasy game? I know I slaughtered you in power rankings this week. You and Michaela.
Yeah, you slaughtered me in power rankings. I honestly haven't updated the scores in the fantasy game. I just know you have 4 people left. I have 6 people left hitting the merge.
Wow. Good job, Phil. But yeah, I think I had Michaela at 9 and you had her at 3 in power rankings.
I did, yeah. Yeah, no, you killed me there.
Good.
For sure.
Good.
Let's go to the next one. Giovanni Oriana with 9 guys at the merge. This is a real sausage party. Yeah, man, the biggest sausage party since that Seth Rogen movie.
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of sausage parties on Survivor. Usually when a gender dominates, it's women, I think. Yeah.
No, that's true. That's very true. Because they'll stick together longer. The men, they get all alpha and start breaking down. Giovanni, how many alliances are there in this merge? Listen, 5 minutes ago, I tried to break it down and my head exploded. Giovanni, who will play their idol first, Adam, Jay, or David? I think David's going to play his first, but I think Adam's going to have to play his first.
I don't know. It's so hard. It is so hard to say. This will be a fun predictions podcast. Hopefully we get another preview. Man, it's gonna be wild. I'm so stoked on this season. At EW Pop Fest, Jeff was asked, "What's your favorite season?" Jeff said, "This season is damn good," is what he said. Like he said, we're in the middle of a really good season, and with a boot tonight, that was this amazing. I'm so stoked for what can happen.
Mm-hmm. Adam Heinrich, who will get the revenge for their ally? Taylor on Adam, Hannah on Jay, or Brett and Chris on Jessica?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if none of them get their revenge. I could see.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they all did too. Like it's a really weird season right now.
We're the worst. We're the worst podcasters. We're like, well, there's a lot of reasons that they could all get it, but they also none of them could get it.
Well, the way I'm looking at this right now is Jay could go next week, and it could be like San Juan del Sur, where we lose like Josh and Jeremy back to back. Except, like you think, like, okay, cool, I cut the head off of the snake, and then you go the next week. Although in this season, there's so many more characters that are still available at the disposal of this season. It's just like I could see maybe Jay does get a boot out of nowhere, but he's such a likable guy. Michaela was very likable, got a very positive edit, and she's home right now.
Yeah, who's gonna get revenge? Why was Taylor's "I Will Destroy You" the title of the episode? Do titles?
They had to throw you off, dude. They couldn't tell you that Michaela was going home.
Right? No, they had these episode titles are always pretty random, specific to that episode. But maybe down the line, it's a sign that Taylor does. I don't know. I think Taylor's probably the least likely to pull one over on Adam of all people, because Taylor's merging and he's going right back to Jay. He's going right back to Michelle. Jess and Ken and Adam will stick together. They'll pull back David, maybe David and Chris and Zeke and Adam. That's your alliance right there. We'll get into all that in the predictions, but that's a really good question.
Yeah. Adam Heinrich, who has the best position at the merge and who has the worst? I would say having an idol puts you in the best position going into a merge, especially one like this where you really have no idea. I would say Hannah's in the worst position.
Oh, I think David has the best position because he's the least threatening physically. He has made a lot of good connections. We still have that scene with him and Taylor at the summit. That might come to fruition. He's good with everyone on his current tribe, and he's good with Jess, Ken, and he'll have an extra ally in Adam. That's very likely. So I think David is actually in the best position heading into the merge. And then worst, I think it's someone who's like threatening.
Taylor or Hannah?
Yeah, Taylor I think is probably in a really tough spot. He's really good at challenges. Like low-key really good. You were saying that last week. I completely agree. He's an animal out there. He doesn't have an idol. His number one ally has been voted off. He's already been labeled as a power couple, even though his couple isn't even in existence anymore. There's a lot working against Taylor.
Yeah. Gamer Girl, I think I'm one of the few who wanted them to merge at 12. 13 is both too soon and too many. Might change my mind, though. I'm so happy they merged because the next boot on one of these tribes, if Green goes, you're going to lose Brett or Sunday for real next time, or maybe you lose Hannah. You're going to lose one of those three who's not huge to the show, but if either of the other tribes lose, you're losing a pretty big character. Let them all hit the merge. I'm a big fan of merging early, especially on a huge season of 20 people. Let's merge with 13. Let's let them play. Let's let them earn it. I'm totally down. Nobody's getting screwed by a merge. A merge is coming.
Yeah, I'm usually not for early merges, but that's when it's two tribes. It's always been two tribes that you're merging from. But now that it's three, and like you're saying, like I don't want Michelle to just go home because they lose a challenge. Like that would be so lame. Or like Taylor, it's not as fun. I'm all for it for this season.
Yeah. Adam Heinrich, we answered both of these, but I'll just read them out. Where does Michaela's – well, we answered where does her exit rank among the rest. Adam Heinrich, where does Michaela's blindside rank among the rest? Alexis from Magnesia, James from China. It's definitely like – it's up there. It's up there. It's like
probably a top 10 blindside, but number one exit.
Yeah. And Curtis, let's be glad the World Series or that Survivor wasn't pulled due to the World Series. That's happening to a lot of shows tonight. It does, but Survivor can hold its own against everything, especially when they keep putting up episodes like this.
Agreed.
Giovanni, what was Michaela's impact on the game? I think Michaela had a huge impact on the game.
Wait, on the overall game of Survivor or impact on this season?
I mean, I'm going to go based on this season, and I think she had a very big impact on this season, even though she went pre-merge and even though she only went to 2 tribal councils. I think that her impact was huge because I think she was so vocal, she probably gave away some information about alliances and other people. That is going to be huge moving forward in the game.
I think she just had an impact in the way she was so blunt about things, and just that might rub off on people where they're really upfront. She was always competing, which best thing about competition, it brings out the best in everyone. So if she goes 100%, the person next to her has to go 100%, and everyone was playing so hard that, they're like, hey, I gotta get Michaela before she gets me, and that's what happened. So if people are playing with this mindset, she certainly contributed to it.
Yeah. Giovanni, how does this pre-merge hold up against Cagayan, Heroes vs. Villains, Micronesia, Cambodia, and Korong? I seriously think it's the best one. I really do. I think it's better than Heroes vs. Villains. I think it was incredibly exciting the entire time. And I also think it set up the second half of the game so much better than the second half of Heroes vs. Villains was set up. Even though you had it 5-5, you knew the villains were going to take over. Here, you really have no idea. And I think that does play into how the pre-merge is, because I love this pre-merge. I loved every episode so far. And I also love that going forward, I really don't know who's going to take over.
Yeah, I got to watch Heroes vs. Villains again. I mean, I've watched it probably 2 or 3 times, but it keeps getting brought up, and I can't try to think. You were saying the boots weren't even that great. It was long, though. We went from 20 to 10, all with no tribe swap in Heroes vs. Villains, and it was super entertaining. Cagayan is a great pre-merge. I think there was 1 or 2 boots. But there were 1 or 2 boots in here, too, that were kind of, pretty predictable. But because they went from 2 tribes to 3 tribes, and then each of those 3 tribes got to go to tribal council, and every time each of those tribes went to tribal council, the majority voted out one of their own. I mean, come on. I really gotta say it's 1. It's probably number 1 or number 2.
Yeah. Gamer Girl Will, I'm assuming you're still a huge fan of rhyming, right? If so, did you like Hannah's voting confessional for Brett rhyming?
The thing I noticed from Hannah's voting confessional was she said, what'd she say? See you later? Or she did some Boston accent, which I thought was really cute. I didn't notice the rhyme, though.
Oh, she rhymed. If something was true, I'm sorry, I'm voting for you, or something like it was something.
Oh, did I used to be into rhyming? Have we been doing the podcast that long that I used to do something and now I'm not even remembering it? Because that's pretty crazy.
That might be the case.
Wow. Well, remind me about my rhymes. That didn't rhyme.
That wasn't a rhyme. Larry Miller, did Will Wall just want screen time, so he made a big move against Michaela and Hannah? Now he's not purple. I don't think he cared about screen time. I think Will Wall just wants to win the game, and I think he thought it was a great move. And honestly, I think this was probably more Will's move than Jay's. It's just Jay is a better character on the season who's probably got a better chance to win. And Will, I think, though, behind the scenes, low-key was like, yo, Jay, this is going to be a good idea. Like, let's do this.
Yeah, I think Jay had the original idea, but Will certainly was like, once he got that, if Jay's into this, obviously we have Red Sunday. We can really do something. And for Will, who hasn't gotten to do much this season, and this isn't saying he wanted screen time, but just to go and make any big move at all, that certainly could have played a role. Where he's going to his second tribal council of the game, he hasn't had to do a lick of strategy, and then Jay comes and says, maybe Michaela, and he's like, oh, okay, I want to be a part of this. I want to do something. I want to make an impact on this season. And it was funny because Michaela turned around and said right at Jay, and Jay was doing it, and then Will was going, like, nodding his head, like, I want credit too. Let me know.
Yeah. Stephen Holt, you could both totally get cast on the show. Your last episode was just joyful with your chat on this event and excitement at meeting Jeff. Thanks, man. Glad you enjoyed it. We definitely did. T-Rex Survivor. I honestly don't know who deserves MVP, LVP tonight. Crazy episode. I feel a reverse One World coming soon. I really don't think the guys are going to take over, to be honest. I don't think necessarily that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, the fact that we have Sunday and Hannah making up, that's half the females left?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's only 4 left, so it's not. Yeah, I don't even know.
And
I
two
can't
of them, we
believe
just haven't seen them. I mean, we've seen, a lot of Jess, especially early on. And then we have Michelle, who's playing hard, but it's just not much. I think we might see an all-male finale. It's possible.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. I'm not sure, though. I'm not buying it. Giovanni, who's playing the best so far and who's playing the worst so far, and who can improve the most in this game? Rattle off names, Will.
I think David can still improve. He's already improved a lot, but I think he has a chance to improve more. I think he's learning. Like, we're seeing David learn out there, so he has more of a chance to improve. Who's playing the worst? I don't know. Probably Taylor. Just that whole figgy thing. Why do it? Especially when you got a girl back home. That was not good for your strategy. But we didn't figure out whatever happened with that. And then who's playing the best? I love Adam's game. He's saying so low key, and I think he's starting to show a little bit. People are like, "Oh, he's strategic," but he's got an idol. I don't think he's physically threatening, and even if he is athletic and coordinated, he's not like overly showing it. So I do think Adam's playing the best.
Yeah, I think Adam's playing the best. I think Hannah or Taylor is playing the worst because everything Hannah does ends up backfiring on her. Even when she calls Brett out, she still is on the wrong side of the vote. Who can improve the most? I think that's a fun one. I would say Taylor can improve the most just because now he doesn't have Figgy. I think he can improve. I don't think he will, but I think he can.
I'll also toss out Ken in there because if he can change, I've talked about this a lot, he doesn't have the winner mentality yet. If he can somehow change like his whole entire makeup as a person, then that would be a big improvement. He could be a potential winner.
Yeah. Giovanni, with Rachel, Mari, Paul, Lucy, Cece, Figgy, and Michaela on the pre-jury trip, how explosive could that bunch get? I am sure that was a great time. They were all probably so mad.
Imagine like Paul, who's just like with pretty much all these ladies.
No, it is all ladies.
It's all ladies and Paul, right?
Paul's the only guy who's been voted off this season. So he's the only guy who didn't make the merge. That's crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's wild. Oh,
that's got to be the most lopsided ever in Survivor history. Like even like that has to be.
Yeah, I think it's because it's a sexist show.
Obviously, Will. Obviously. Morgan, Michaela's reaction was hilarious. We got into that. Adam Heinrichs, I like how the producers edited in politics with Taylor and Ken. So did I. Thought that was funny. A little, insight into something, I guess.
That was. Well, that whole thing was them talking with Taylor. We just haven't seen much of it. I mean, it was Figgy interacting with Jessica and Ken in last week's episode about their relationship and all that. We didn't see much Taylor in the Gen Xer, so that was good to at least see a little bit of that before we hit the merge.
Yeah. All right, let's jump over to YouTube. Jeff Steinberg, was it weird meeting Natalie after having her on your worst players to make finale video? Not really. You kind of forget those things.
She hasn't seen that.
No, she hasn't seen it, and don't tell her.
Yeah, they're gonna everyone tweet at her right now.
Yeah,
they said you were the worst.
This is really funny because this came right before the episode. But Jeff Steinberg, do you think Hannah will find her groove at the merge like Aubrey did last season? She can, but she certainly didn't find her groove tonight. I don't think Aubrey got blindsided the episode before the merge.
Hannah's freak out after too was great. She was like, "What is happening?" You could see her like having a freak out right there in front of your eyes. She could not understand what was going on.
Yeah. Anthony Beam, this season is so unpredictable. Jay is savage and smart. Only time will tell. So do you think Michaela was suppressing an urge to punch Jay? To which Giovanni says, I think Michaela would have strangled Jay like Chris would have strangled David. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if there weren't camera people and Jeff Probst there, Jay might have been beaten to death because Michaela was raging. In the best way. Hang on, I'm trying to find the last one here where I left off because I had to refresh. All right, Anthony Beam. Hannah's adorable. Her complete denial. It looked like she was on the verge of laughter and tears. Yeah, pretty much. Gregory Fuller. Jay won't win. This was way too big of a move at this stage in the game and looked like Hannah's going to tell everyone about it in the merge. But
Yeah, I mean, even if Hannah goes and tells everyone, who's Hannah have on her side? Like
that's what I'm saying.
Hannah wasn't with Taylor, Michelle, and those people are with Jay and Will. They were tighter. Hannah can go run up and say, Adam, look what Jay did. Adam's like, well, I voted out Figgy. who are you running to with this? You're going to Zeke, who last we saw you had a fight with, because Hannah voted
and I
Zeke.
think here Giovanni makes a good point. He says Gregory Fuller, Tony Vlachos won after making a big move at the swap. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens to Jay. Well, on top of that, who did Will mention tonight?
Tony Vlachos, and if you have that in the prop bet game,
he's already mentioned people.
Oh, Will's already mentioned people. He's a super fan, man. I really like Will. We should try to.
I like Will a lot too.
I would love to get him on the podcast for sure.
Yeah, he seems like he would be a real good time. Anthony Beam, I'm throwing edits out the window. I think they're changing it up after Mike's and Jeremy's obvious wins. I mean, right now, if Jay doesn't win, Jay or Adam don't win, we could be 2 for 2 back-to-back seasons of being kind of shocked.
I don't know. I still think Zeke could win. David could win. Chris could win. Ken can't win. How to get that in there?
Yeah, I know you did. The real Negro. I love that. I'd never pronounce it right, I don't think. Sup, guys? What a great tribal. I wasn't so big on Jay coming into the episode, but he was so badass tonight. This may go down as one of my favorite tribals. If you guys had to pick one, what would be your favorite pre-merge tribal? My pick would be Boston Rob being voted out and Heroes vs. Villains because of the battle he and Russell had, and also how we knew we were going to lose a great play on Rob Russell. Keep up the great work. You guys are the best. Pre-merge tribal council.
I don't know. I don't know about tribal council, but the whole episode, the Jatia meltdown, was just so amazing. Like, that was so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Tribal councils are tough pre-merge because I always forget, kind of. I know mine. Joel going home in Micronesia. It's still my favorite. It's one of the best blindsides. So underrated. While we're talking blindsides, keep remembering that, guys. Great blindside. So well orchestrated. Rashid Hassan with Probst asking Michaela questions every time he has a chance to ask questions. I believe it hurt her game. Dub move by Jay.
The whole question, I don't know. The questions, I'm sure he asked a lot of questions, and then the editors choose what they want to include. But Michaela's very vocal as well. So Jeff doesn't want to ask Adam a question. Adam, what do you think of these new tribes? Adam will say some polite, answer that doesn't get him in trouble. That's not good for TV. That's why Jeff is going to Michaela, and I'm sure he asked a lot of questions. So,
CVB, first 55 minutes, so boring, worst episode of the season by far. Last 5 minutes, can you pick up my jaw up off the floor? Best episode of the season. I like Michaela, but never have I not seen a blindside coming like this one. Episode was completely unpredictable based on editing. I had no idea who was even going to tribal. Only sad part is my fave. Jay is a bit of a villain, but it was a good move for him, I think. Yeah, I don't think Jay is necessarily a villain for this move. I just think Michaela was a fan favorite. I don't think he was necessarily a favorite on the island, though. It's like the sugar thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think Jay's been getting a lot of positivity, and even tonight with this whole running from the cops thing and the bonfires, Jay's not a bad guy. He's been painted in a pretty positive light this entire season. I think they're looking at it as a move that will get him farther in the game. And with Jeff even highlighting this at Tribal, saying, look, he's mentioning voting blocks from season 31. He's talking about saying, hey, I'm just going to blindside you. That's how the game goes. He's literally making a case for why this is an okay move for Jay to make in Tribal Council when he doesn't even know the move's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Man. Sorry. Just reading. Just read. Gamer Girl, I knew it would be one of my favorites thanks to that video Survivor tweeted of Jeff basically saying anything can happen, but I didn't guess Michaela. I was thinking Ken or Adam when the video was done, and during the episode, they made me think it was Brett.
I didn't see that video, I don't think.
I didn't either. Giovanni, MVP David, LVP Jay or Will? Jay and Will. Oh.
Who can I toss out? Is there anybody I can toss out?
You have Adam, Brett, Taylor, and Will. Your team sucks.
I'm gonna go with Will because I think Will was the one who sold this move. We talked about it. He's the one that brought up the idol. Jay, she knows about the idol. We can get her out now. I think Will had a lot to do with selling this move, and he doesn't even get credit for it, so he's not going to take the blame. Hannah's not going after Will for revenge. Hannah's going after Jay. I do think the move was good, but it wouldn't have happened without Will. So kudos to Will. He finally came out, had some confessionals, had a question to answer at Tribal. He's playing this game hard. Jay, he's taking the blunt of it. He's showing his hand, telling everyone he's a sneaky, deceptive player. Will's sitting in the background, making it seem like it's Jay's idea. Love it. Got to give Will the MVP.
Shut up. God, it's just like nonsense spewing into my eardrums. Giovanni Oriana, Will J's gut calls him to lose, similar to how Lex almost lost the game at the final 9 because of Kelly's flip. Also, is Hannah the Kelly in this situation? Adam and Zeke are the T-Bird in this situation. Man, a lot of comparisons there. Jay is not giving a Lex vibe. Lex was great. He was a fan favorite, obviously. He's also a very negative dude. He was very vicious.
If anyone's Lex, it would be Michaela because she was so pissed that she got voted out. It's the other way around where Boston Rob's like, yeah, wrote your name down. And Jay's sitting there doing something similar. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. Giovanni Oriana, should Michaela have said that Jay had an idol after she was voted out? I'm surprised she didn't.
Wow. Yeah, she was too pissed, but she damn should have.
Yeah. Anthony Beam, next could be one of the best episodes ever. Who knows? We'll go. +3 idols. Can't wait. Agreed. This is going to be a really exciting episode.
Do you think there's a 4th idol at the merge camp?
I wouldn't be surprised if they hid one. But I don't know how many people are going to be looking because I feel like a lot of people know about David's. Nobody knows about Adam's, but we know at least Will knows about Jay's. Jay might tell somebody. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Gamer Girl. I'm glad that Ikabula were given a much-needed storyline. Everyone that doesn't normally get words in will be glad. I didn't call them invisible. Did get words in. Now that the merge is coming, hopefully this means that Will, Wall, Brett, Sunday, and Hannah will get much more needed screen time, and we'll finally find out what's happening inside those minds of theirs. Do you think what I just said will happen? I kind of do. I think tonight was a very telling episode that, Survivor wants to make them characters. They're just not giving them as much as some of these huge characters. We just lost probably the biggest character on the season.
Right, yeah, she was huge. And tonight especially, she was huge. My prediction, I think Hannah is going to become a much, much stronger player, more prevalent, more screen time. Will get a little bit more. Sunday, I still think is going to take a back seat. The reason Will and Hannah, we didn't see much of, they've only been to 2 tribal councils in 7 episodes. Sunday, what? She went to
a lot.
She went to 4, I think. So she was there. She was in the majority. She was one of the people who flipped against Paul. She had her moments to come out and be a character, and she hasn't yet. Will and Hannah never really had that chance. So I think Sunday will remain in the back seat, but we'll see more of Hannah and more of Will.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Giovanni, this Michaela was a million times better than Michaela from South Pacific. Strangely enough, they both got 14th place. Don't be named Michaela on this show. That's what you get from that.
So yeah, I like comparisons like that. Same name, 14th place, different players. I'm more of a fan of that question or comment. Good job.
Giovanni, I really like the music they played when they were revealing the votes, especially when Michaela turned to Jay. That was epic as hell. The whole moment was epic. Well done, editor.
All the way around.
Gregory Fuller, I think the Orange Tribe members are going to be the tightest tribe in the merge, which with that food scene, that was a lot of fun. They have a lot of fun with each other, so I can see them making the final. Just to me, the other tribes seem like they don't seem like they are going to work together at the merge. I can see Adam and Hannah aligning with them. I do think Orange is the tightest, but I also think they kind of ostracize Michelle a bit. And she does still have Jay. She does still have Taylor. She does still even have maybe Will and maybe, whatever, Hannah. You don't know. So I wouldn't be surprised if she kind of betrays those other 3.
Yeah, and I always thought this Orange Tribe was the tightest too, but then after they went to tribal council and they voted off CC, I was like, wow, that tribe is tight. They went on a reward or something. And I was like, well, at Adam, Ken, Jessica, Figgy tribe, Taylor tribe, they're really split. And then we see, they really like each other. They really like each other. Figgy's making Jess laugh, all this stuff. And we get to Ikabula tonight. Guess who loves each other? And they're one big happy family. And they're the Ikabula 6, as Michaela's referring to them. They're sitting on a log in silence together. I think all these people really, really like each other, which is going to make it so much fun. So I don't know if Orange is the most well-liked, especially how Michelle is so clearly the bottom of that 4.
Yeah. All right, man. Here we go. It's oh wait, no. Sorry, it's not that time of the show yet. Sorry, D6. But Gregory Fuller, MVP Zeke because he knew that David had the idol. LVP David for showing Zeke the idol. JK, real LVP would be Hannah for getting blindsided, but I think she could turn it around. Now let's get into D6 comedy because he always brings some comedy and some anger, which is always fun. D6 comedy. Jay will lose now. Idiot choice. Trust me, Jay will not win. I know Philly and Willie will play around thinking Jay will win. Trust in my words again. Jay cannot win now.
Jay cannot win now because he voted out Michaela. But Adam can win because he voted out Figgy. And Chris and David can win because they voted out Cece. I don't know. It seems like next. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I am mad Michaela got voted out. However, I still have a lot of favorites, therefore, oh well. Dumb woman should have blurted out he had an idol. I'm honestly surprised she didn't. I really am.
I don't know. It's like that's not, when you're that blindsided, you're not prepared to like drop something like that. I mean, I'm sure she's kicking herself wishing she had done that, but she was so blindsided. That was so far in the back of her brain to pull out. I mean, man, she was shocked. She could not believe it.
Strawberry 85, do you think Ken and Jess will align with Taylor because they think they can just tell him how to vote because they think he's too done the thing for himself?
They could
use it as a number. I don't think that they're necessarily going to be like, let's go to the final 3 with him, but if they need a 7th or something, at some point, they could definitely drag Taylor for a couple votes.
I don't think so.
But
so Taylor was putting, sweet nothings in their ear in case they lost that challenge and they had to go to tribal. That was it. Mm-hmm. Now that he has people that he can get back with, he's going to say, all right, Ken and Jess, bye. You voted out Figgy. See you later. I don't think Taylor wants anything to do with Ken. And Ken and Jess, they have Adam. They have David and probably Zeke and Chris. I mean, they don't need Taylor. And I think they're going to be on opposing sides of the 2 big alliances. We always see this. It's not like there's going to be 3 alliances that are going to fight for power. It's going to be 2 eventually that shake out of this thing. I mean, at least that's how it usually goes. It's going to be like 2 majorities and there's people in the middle, and we'll hear this phrase, the line in the sand. We'll hear that next week.
You think so? Wentz Acosta, do you think the cool kids will catch up on Jay being a mastermind? Will Hannah get any revenge, seeing as so far all payback edits this season have been mentioned then dropped? Speaking of Hannah, is there any possibility of her playing with a chaotic state of mind as just speaking anyway, she kind of looked like the wire finally snapped in her mind tonight. Finally heading into the merge, who we know physical threats and social threats, who will be the main puzzle threats. It's a lot to take in.
I don't know if there are puzzles don't come up as often as you'd think post-merge. Like they're often in tribe stages at the end of challenges, but post-merge, yeah, you get a lot of more endurance and coordination stuff. I mean, they'll be there, but I don't know if you're going to get voted off because you can solve the puzzle.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm not so sure Hannah's going to get the payback. I mean, she could, but I think it's not that likely. But she's definitely crazy. I think the cool kids will eventually realize Jay's a mastermind. It's just a matter of, is it going to be too late?
Well, there's 4 cool kids left too. That's pretty good. I mean, I'm tossing Will in there because Will and Jay are clearly tight.
They are. They clearly are.
So they're going to kind of build up one side, and I think it's going to be Jess, Ken, and David and Adam kind of building up the other, and everyone will kind of fall. We have Sunday, Brett, and Chris, who are a little trio. Who knows which way Zeke falls? But yeah, it'll be really fun to see.
I almost feel like Will's going to get idled out of the game. That's why we've heard so little from him.
It tends to happen, yeah.
Yeah. D6 comedy is back. Not a good movie. Backstabbed Hannah as well. Brett and Sunday is not on their side. They booted a loyal ally for 3 people that will now go on to Gen X side. Gen X now has David, Chris, Brett, Sunday, Zeke, Ken, Jessica, and Adam. First, Taylor, Jay, Will, Michelle. Jay also backstabbed Adam and Zeke. Don't forget that. Therefore, bad move, 18 exclamation points. D6 again. No, it's easy to grade. The reason why they kept showing Michaela saying how loyal she is and how this move will cement them going to the Final Four highlights this was a bad move. Trust in the editing, my friends.
I mean, we'll see. I don't
love
think
D6.
I do too. I mean, and he has some very good points. I don't think Jay is completely now labeled as this bad guy for making this move when we've seen it happen in the other 2 tribal counts. Are Gen Xers mad that Chris voted off Cece?
I do think he has a good point, though, that now that Brett and Sunday are pretty tight with Chris. And they could easily flip back over, and Jay could put himself in a position where all he's got is Will, Taylor, Michelle. He really could put himself in that position.
Right, and if you're only with those 3 people, that's fine. Who's going to target you? There's going to be 2 other bigger alliances if you're only with 3 people. People are going to be fighting for your votes in the middle if that's the case.
No, because that's an alliance of 4.
Or 4.
4 out of 13. There's not going to be 2 other big alliances fighting for those 4 necessarily.
I mean, they're going to have to fall somewhere with other people. It's not like it's going to be it could be like a 4-4.
Especially
5.
Taylor might be the first target of this merge, so he could lose a number right away too.
Yeah, but I also think Jay has I don't know. I think Jay has a ton of options. I'm really not, and he has an idol. I'm not worried about people being like, "Oh, Jay, you made that move on Michaela. Now we're going to get you out." No, I'm sure Gen Xers are stoked that he's willing to play the game with them, especially since there are such a few Gen Xers left. And he seemed to get along pretty well with Brett on that tribe. He can easily, align with Brett or Sunday. I mean, we didn't see much of Sunday in them interacting, but for sure with Brett.
Rashid Hassan, Phil, why are you guys so big on Michelle? I don't see the hype in her. I just think she's got a lot of gameplay in her that kind of got pushed to the side because she got stuck on the wrong side of the numbers. And I want to see her be able – she didn't do anything wrong to get on the bottom. So I kind of want to see her be able to build it back up.
Yeah, we've just seen she's been able to single-handedly pull like 3 people to change their vote. That's pretty impressive. We haven't really seen much since then, but she's definitely someone to watch for because she's playing hard. She's playing to win.
Wentz Acosta also wasn't it kind of pointless to have a confessional at this point from Michaela about not being a threat. She was friggin' MVP in every challenge. I kind of agree. I think they were just kind of trying to get a mindset for her. But I already agree.
Yeah, they were trying to sell up. That's why she went home as a threat. That was the complete story. There was definitely more to it, but that was the narrative they were pushing.
D6, Brett and Sunday working with Jay. Will he stop? Brett is not working with Jay when he has Chris. Chris is working with Zeke and David. Sunday and Brett are going to work together.
But
no one
you
is
could,
working with
you
Jay
could just
see who blindsides multiple people.
You could just go through a cycle where it's like, okay, Brett's working with Chris, and Chris working with David, and Dave's working with Zeke, and Zeke's working with Adam, and then Adam.
That's why these 3 tribes are the best.
With Hannah, and then you could literally make a chain, and you could probably hit every person in a circle of relationships. I mean, that'd be kind of fun to do. Maybe we'll try that for the predictions podcast.
We'll do that on the predictions because I'm going to fall asleep. D6, I wonder why no one is saying Michaela was playing a Sandra-like game except she could win challenges because Michaela wasn't all about anybody but her. Michaela was trying to orchestrate moves, and Sandra was big on just, okay, that's fine, just don't make it me.
Yes, Michaela literally told 3 people that we're in the Final 4 together. That's our plan. And they're like, all right. It's a little aggressive, and it's threatening your own game if you don't think you can beat Michaela for 1, or you don't think you can beat someone in that 4, or if you have someone else you've already made a promise to that could end up being a person on the jury who won't end up voting for you. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into this.
Wentz Acosta, do you think they should be a merge tribe, idol, or a special power like double vote, cancel vote? I'm sure we'll get something eventually. I don't mind if there's another idol.
I don't know. 4 idols is a lot.
4 is probably too many, but I mean,
they're going to merge and stay at one of the 3 beaches. So,
so they don't need to.
Yeah,
if it was a new beach, they could.
Yeah, I'd say we're going to have 3 idols the rest of the game. Maybe if all 3 get played somehow and we're with like 10 people left, and all right, toss another idol in there, maybe 2. Yeah, we had the legacy advantage in there. I don't really need to see a double vote, but if it happens, it happens.
All right, last comment. Wentz Acosta finally rightly called I will destroy you based on Jay destroying Michaela and Michaela having a destroy you look. I guess that's why it was called I will destroy you, because Michaela's probably still trying to find a way to destroy Jay.
That's going to be fun at the reunion. Because it wasn't – I mean, she's pissed. But it wasn't like they had a personal fight. It was just a vote. It was just over the simple vote, which we haven't seen in a while. Usually all these feuds come from stuff that happened on the island. They're not just, oh, you voted me out. So that'd be a lot of fun. Okay. Exciting day. Do we have more comments? Is that why you're laughing?
No, this is it. God.
I thought maybe D6 hit us with another one, which
we're good.
Would be great. He's typing away right now. No, thanks to everybody for listening, commenting. It's always a lot of fun, especially after episodes like these. World Series again. Shout out to the Cubs. I don't know where my roommate is. He has not come home yet. He's probably out hammered somewhere. But good for him. Go Cubs. Hopefully he doesn't go to work tomorrow. there's a lot of people probably taking tomorrow off, but all around an amazing night of television and entertainment. Check you out on Sunday for Predictions Podcast. I will be back Sunday. I'm going to Miami this week.
Probably going to be Monday, guys. It's probably going to be Monday.
You can't do like Sunday?
I cannot do Sunday. Sunday, I actually have to work this weekend, and I have like 9-hour days, but Sunday's a 12-hour day. So I will not be around on Sunday, guys.
All right. Well, I guess we will see you Monday, or maybe Alexa and I will have to meet each other for the first time.
Finally, yeah. Alexa and Will still have not met, and they're on the same podcast.
Yeah, that's right. That could be fun. A Phil-less podcast. I'm sure the fans would love it. All right.
Fans would also unsubscribe. Yeah, I think that's it. Like us on Twitter. MVP, LVP, vote.
Oh, yeah, and subscribe, too. That'd be cool. Thank you.